Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery is back every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join Nigeria Anderson.
Greetings. Welcome to Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery one more time. And again, I am your friend, your good girlfriend, Nigeria Anderson. And today we are going to talk about money. Yes. So let's just jump on in because I have some more clips to show and share. And listen, if you're new here, like, subscribe, and share this link because, it's for mature audience only. We are here. We have gathered here today to help one another. We are a like-minded group. And besides all that's going on in the world, there are still people in this world that have pure hearts and a right spirit. Yeah, so let's jump in. So today we're going to talk about financial trauma. We just going to go talk about it. And we know that financial trauma is a battle. And many of us have faced it. But, be it you grew up in a low income household or a single household, the trauma is real. As a youth, you may have been bullied at school for not having the right shoes and footwear and clothes, not being able to buy anything on the school trip. Yep, I remember that. Or get the name brand cereal. Yep. Every time I see it in the grocery stores, I be like, "Grr!" So I'm glad that I grew up and I'm able to buy anything I want in the cereal I enjoy. Sometimes you would even come home and them lights be out and you're like playing with the switch like, well, where's the lights, right? But however, back in those days, we were community. If you needed sugar, you could just go to the neighbor and say, hey, neighbor, I ran out of a little sugar. Do you have it? We didn't talk about each other. We all were struggling. But it was serious. It was, the burden of it all just seemed real bad. But having community made it just a little bit easier. And if we can just get back to that, we will be all right. We looked out for one another. Where I grew up, we had tenant patrol to keep our neighborhood safe. And in silence, we agreed about the behavior of the children and the adults to not be acting out in the street and doing whatever. And when money got low, we had rent parties and we rallied to support that person so they didn't get kicked out their apartment. There was susus going on. And there was not a lot, but we did what we had to do. And when we had the susus, people wasn't playing around with people's money. That was our banking system. Okay? Because you knew you don't give so-and-so their money. You gonna have trouble. So again, it was community. And before the lotto, they were the number runners, right? So with all that going on, we made it through. I come from that, and look at me. I grew up to be very successful, wonderful, and rich. So, hey, it works. But it took the community to come together and build, okay? Now, what's going on today, many of us may have to go back to being community and looking out for one another, FYI. And we are going to have to be accountable for each other. Okay? All right, let's talk about these false promises that got us in this position in the first place. Because we know that, some groups of people are underpaid at jobs. So while one group is hired, we get excited because, I got that job and I'm getting 100,000 a year. I'm making six figures, right? But your coworker got the same job, don't do as much work, and they getting 250,000 a year. Okay, telling you what to do. Okay, so yeah, there's been some false promises. We know that there has been limited restrictions with unfair practices and some groups of people trying to experience wealth, and that's definitely within institutions like corporations and banks. We know this, but just stick with me. And of course, our poor spending habits has caused financial trauma. You know, you didn't need all that and you wasn't supposed to buy all that, but you want to, ball out now. You're paying 25 and 30% on the APR because you just had to have it. Just stay with me. And we understand that these things have caused the things that have caused us cognitive trauma, right? Remembering the lights out, not having money, it showed up differently as we continue to get older. And to limit these, we've gone to the banks, have been limited to their services. Yeah, you know, uh, rejected for loans, which limits the purchasing power. Of course, financial trauma includes unemployment and, a host of things that has continued to hinder us. And let me say something, even when you starting a business, everybody's like, be an entrepreneur, get credit, build your credit. Sometimes the banks still don't care. They don't care. They don't care about that. And so then you have to decide what you are going to do legally. Because don't be like Nigeria told me to go hustle and do this and do that. I didn't say that. I said find out something you can do legally to earn your money. And, when you have hardships where you lose everything or you're unemployed and you can't get a loan and you can't do this, you just feel like you're going to be broke forever or no one cares and you're living paycheck to paycheck. And here's a gem. You have poor relationships. And to be honest, most are not invited into the wealth rooms. Okay. And some can't even afford to get a seat in the wealth room because let me tell you something. Some of these conferences are like 10,000, 15,000, 25,000 just to be in the room. Say, how you know? Because I know. Okay. To just sit in the room. All right. And I'm just sharing. So when you don't have access to this, it's a hardship. It is a hardship because in those rooms there's mentors, and in those rooms there are people who are wealthy who are talking to you like how I get on here and talk to y'all, you know, uh, and they have these deep conversations in these rooms that if you was able to pay for, you could be in and hear. So come on here to Safe Space Talk so you could be in the room so you can hear what I have to say. Now, another thing when I talked about poor relationships, right? You have it, I don't get along with this person. I don't get along with that person. And then when you need money, who you gonna go to if you don't get along with nobody? Just sharing my thoughts. And like I said, the false promises, not, you can be wealthy, buy my program for $5 million and I'll show you. Anybody who bought a program or been in the pyramid scheme and you are wealthy today, come see me. Email me at safespacetalks@gmail.com. I just want to know your story for real, right? These false promises of wealth, you know, um, it has always intrigued me. I fell for it once and never again. I'm sensitive about my God, my family, and my money. So yeah, that's not going always going to go down. And then when I learned about it, I was like, so I could smell that coming a mile away. Now, as long as I've been in business, and I am a mentor investor, and I sit on certain community boards, and I've been doing this for over 2 decades. I have continued to watch over and over people who have money, let's say 1 million plus, which today is like making 100,000 due to the economic changes that will suggest you pay for whatever you need or want out of pocket. Did you hear what I just said? If you can. And if you can't, well, we wish you the best. That is my rant for today. I'm going to have a rant because people are playing games. They're trying to play games with you and your money, and that's not what we're going to have. So sit tight because I'm going to let you know how it's going down. So the false promises, for example, first home buyers, or, you get a car and stuff, and, they lied and they cheated us. And, because we didn't know about credit scores or whatever, they charge us extra, where some would receive 4% on the loan. They were giving us the loan at 8%. So high interest rates, which has caused many to remain in debt, and it will shift all your purchases. And so if you bought a house at 1% rate and you didn't lock it in, now the rates go up and now you're in more debt, and the household is, eggs was $100 just a minute ago, and so everything goes up. That nice word of inflation, right? So this is all causing financial trauma. And on top of that, many have taken a position, like I said, in the pyramid schemes and the Ponzi schemes for the get quick cash out, right? I mean, even publishing clearance house is like, oh, we can't keep paying you your money for life. Okay, it's not funny, but I'm trying to explain to you these systems that they put in place to manipulate you out your money. There is no get quick without major consequences. There is no get quick rich without consequences. These are all false promises. All right, here's a get quick rich method for you, from me to you. I'm not your financial advisor. You don't have to listen to what I'm about to say, but I'm just going to share an example with you. Okay, here's how you get quick rich. First of all, no one gets quick rich. Okay, that is a process that takes at least 5 to 7 years if you're focused, and up to 20 if you are rebuilding. Did you hear me? So to you, that sounds like a long time, but it's not. I promise you. So this is what you can do right now, today. And especially if you're young, and salute to my youth that watch the show. I didn't even know I had my youth on board, and I'm doing this show specifically for y'all too, and the people over 50. Like, just listen to what I'm saying. Put $2,000 in your drawer. We going old school, okay, under the mattress, wherever. And for 5 years, you add $100 a month. You will have $7K by the end of the year. Do that for 10 years. And after that, do it again for 20 years. By the time you're 40, if you started at 20, do the math. If you start at 50 and you do it for 20 years, you're only going to be 70. Do the math. How much money will you have? Do it. Get your calculator out and put it in the chat. But you have to be committed and disciplined. Financial discipline. That's what you have to be. You have to say to yourself, I will be limiting my flesh and wants so I can achieve a goal that will benefit me in the end. You're going to have to be free of this quick, you know, get rich quick and hurry up, give me my money. It's not like that. Okay, they've been lying to you. When you see successful people, that is the end result of their hard work, their study, their schooling, um, and all of that. They did not just pop up on your TV and have all the success. You should know this already, but maybe you don't, so I'm sharing. So after the first 10 years, you can invest what you saved into a financial asset. Okay? You take that cream off of that too, you invest it in a financial asset, and you keep saving. And you keep saving until you can get out of debt. Now, listen, to potentially get a loan, you're going to have some skin in the game. They're going to look at your credit and your income history. I didn't want to say it, but oh well, here we go. If your parents jacked up your credit by using your name, I'm really sorry about that. But that can be fixed. So don't be boo-hooing and crying, talking about, but you don't know, my mama put the Con Ed in her name and now my credit's all messed up. That can be fixed. It's two ways it can be fixed. You can file a police report. I know. But parents, right now, it is what it is. You shouldn't have did it. You're going to have to pay the piper for that. So you can file a police report, and or there's a process for you to go through that, as long as you have documentation to prove it. And remember, the financial free situation that or fixing your credit and all of that, that is a journey. Remember, it's not quick. It's not a get quick, I'm rich. So in 2025, many have followed the rule of obtaining good credit. So we're not there. I don't like people to keep horning in on the negative of how we used to be. I really believe, or maybe my crowd is just different from your crowd, but my crowd, we got our credit together. We've purchased homes and cars and saved up for a rainy day. But guess what happened? COVID. COVID ate up some of that, ate up some of that money. People are not talking about that, right? But let's come on. We talk about this stuff. COVID ate up some of that money we were saving for a rainy day. And now with the price increase and some, again, unemployment is active. Don't listen to these people. So without income and without your salary increase, things is tight. And our finances has been compromised that for that rainy day. And many are even facing foreclosure right now. That's not on the news, but when it gets real worse, it'll be all on the news. And all of this equals financial trauma. Government shutdowns equals financial trauma. Many institutions that offer assistance to help when we have financial hardships have been stripped of some of their funding, like FEMA. Check the previous video that I did. And the healthcare programs that most have increased. The copay has increased. Medication has increased. So, if you have a scarcity mindset or mentality, that may cause some of y'all to run out there and get 4 and 5 more jobs to pay the bills, or gambling, hoping to get a win. Both of those things will end you up in financial trauma even more. Okay, so that's not the right thing to do. Both of those choices will lead you down a rabbit hole for sure. So hopefully I can provide you with some tools and tips to help you navigate through the financial terrain so you don't become overwhelmed. First, let's just go on and admit, you know, we short. Let's go on and admit we have a financial situation of limited resources. Then it's time to what? Then it's time to problem solve. So the reason why most people can't problem solve because they suffer or they dealing with fear, anxiety, and stress. And of course, a lack of information. So until you're able to problem solve, you will have fear, anxiety, and stress. Okay. And today with Google and YouTube, that's a shame on you. All you have to do is search how to get out of debt, how to invest, how to get your credit score up, and how to budget. All those hows are available on YouTube. So while you're going to work, you can listen to one of those programs, or, whoever is speaking or has a course on that. Problem solve number 2, you can visit your HR department and ask about matching programs, not only for your 401k, but furthering your education with tuition reimbursement. Now you get a degree, or you can go back to school to learn AI, or let your one job pay for your education so you can get a new job, okay, that's going to pay you even more now that you got your piece of paper, right? Hint, hint. All right. So, especially if you're young and between 20 and 35 years old, come on, fam, get on that boat. And let me take a moment to say, I am so glad, again, for the youth that are supporting Safe Space Talks My Mastery. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. At, at this age, you can rock out and be able to have the luxuries you want if you're willing to sacrifice this 5-year window, 10-year window, or 20-year window for those who may have gotten their credit jacked up. It is available. Financial wealth is available to you. You just have to be what? Financially disciplined. Put that in the chat if you are financially disciplined. All right, so let's start the freedom journey. Come on, let's get the freedom journey. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And even if you're over 50, you're not too old to get it right. Okay? You just start right now. And it should be actually easier because you should be over all of that flashiness and you need this and you need that. I mean, we all know it's all vanity. Nigeria, ooh. But if you should be past that. You should. Some are not, but for those who are, you can start today. And by 70, kick back, travel. You still got another 20 years in you. All right? Especially, All right? So, no matter where you're at in your life, you can begin a financial journey and get from under financial trauma. It will take time and it will take money. All right? So, what else can you do? You can remove the extra spending. Again, you heard this before, but if you ain't did it, then you need to listen one more time and again. Remember, bad spending habits are your downfall. Okay? Stop buying things you do not need. In this economy, you should only be purchasing items that have value. Okay? Like, example, canned food, flour and oil, honey and toiletries. Hint, hint. I promise you, that was a gem right there. Everything else goes into savings. That rainy day, we got to rebuild our rainy day savings. Preferably, maybe get a savings account with a high interest rate. And like I said, I know you heard this before. You just have not responded. And so today I am saying respond to the call. Okay. So it's worth repeating. Now, this is another way to get your finances in track. Call your creditors and seek an option plan for payment, or ask them to reduce your APR, your ARP, your percentage, especially if you've been with them over 10 years. Matter of fact, call everybody you owe money, and call everybody who owe you money. Be like, remember and I let you slide. I didn't ask for it back. But today I'm gonna need that. You're gonna have to run that back. Okay? So those who are struggling and have these big homes, and y'all, them bills is punching you in your neck. If you have an extra room, don't lose your house. Buy a security camera and rent it out. If you're afraid, adopt a dog, train the dog, and then rent your room out. Okay. If you really need help, you can email me at safespacetalks@gmail.com, and we can get you started on being financially okay. That's the word I'll use. But you have to be ready and honest about your situation. And to all my single people, ain't we like, whoo, no kids, no spouse? Whoo, we can breathe, because one thing's for sure, two things for certain. Most single people, we know how to handle bills because everything falls on us. So we're very good budgeters for the most part. And then there's some single people that's, drowning, but it's okay. But for the most part, the smart single people, we are frugal and free, baby. High five, right? And if you're frugal and free, put that in the chat. I am frugal and free, and let the church say, Amen. Whew. When God just looks out for you, super amazing. Now, you have to get your mind right about money. Okay, you do. You're just going to have to get your mind right about money. One way to ease your financial stress, let me tell you, you can't sit worrying about it. You got to problem solve. You got to put the plan in place. But in the meantime and in between time, get a workout routine. Um, start working out. Stop emotionally eating. Okay. Stop eating junk food and snacks and eating out. Stop. You're going to have to stop. Cook and buy in bulk, especially if it's something you like. Just buy in bulk, because buying it single, just buying it by itself. I mean, potato chips is almost $10. I mean, just stop buying potato chips. Put they butts out of business. Okay. Chocolate bars are like $3, and soda is like $100, right? Like, we're gonna stop that. We're gonna have to call them out. We're gonna have to do a target on them. Okay. Lower them prices. Stop that. No, it don't cost that much to uh freaking make potato chips. All right, so all right, I gotta be transparent. I'm struggling in that department, but together we can be delivered. I will admit, you know, I be buying potato chips. But listen, let me tell you something. I started buying potatoes and planting bananas, and that has helped with my potato chip urges. And I have shifted to popcorn as my new snack. And I buy salsa instead of soda, and I get dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate. All right, I just had to, let y'all know y'all not by yourself. This is the finances and eating and drama and fear and anxiety is again across the board. It doesn't mean you have a mental illness. It just means that these are our emotions that we go through when we're faced with different things. So I'm glad I just shared that, because I feel free. right? Take a breath sometimes. And I hope that helps someone. It is cheaper and healthier to cook your own stuff, and instead of buying these things, let me help you out. And I'm a Christian, everybody know. So here's a Bible verse. Exodus 4:2, where God asked Moses this question, leading to a demonstration of God's power using Moses' staff. This verse serves as a prompt for people to recognize and surrender. This is how you get rich. You're going to have to recognize you don't have it and surrender those things that is snatching all your finances, and then work on capitalizing on that. All right. So this prompt for people to recognize and surrender the seemingly small or ordinary things in their lives that God can use in extraordinary ways. Let's just say lie on that, because that's a word all by itself. Now that was for my saints. And y'all know that I don't leave out the people who don't believe. I wish I had time to share a story with you about a time when I stayed in the Hamptons for a minute, but I don't have time because I have some things to finish up and I got a clip for you. But the wealthy people you see portrayed on television are not like that in real life, at least not the wealthy people I hang out with. So this leads me to a key element: becoming financially okay. All right. This leads me to this. I know people don't like what I'm about to say, but it's true. There is no such thing as financially free. I know I just hurt your feelings. A key point in America is that there is always a tax to be paid, which means you have to pay it because nothing is free. Debt will not go away. You will always have to pay for something you want. And then there is here's this word that people don't add. It's called maintenance. You buy that fancy car. What is it? What car is that? The Ferrari. I think the oil change like $500 to $2,000 based on what model you have. I'm crying about it went from $19 to $40 on my regular car. And I was going to buy a car. Anytime I buy a car, I'm looking for a car, the first thing I say is, how much is the oil change? And I was going to buy this car. And I said, how much is the oil change? He was like, $200. Psych. Nope. Don't want it. Not going to buy it. Okay. See, they don't tell you these intricate things. They just be like, oh, look at my Bentley. Look at my so-and-so, right? Here's this word. Can you maintain it? Do you have the maintenance money? All right, I don't. What am I ranting about? Because people be trying to manipulate you and trick you and try to act like they got it like that, and you know what? Honestly, yes, but you know, let's just keep problem solving, okay? So a paid house, you still paying taxes, water, you're still gonna pay. So that financially free to me means I don't pay for nothing. Okay, everything is free. That's lovely. Then you're financially free. So maybe to the wives who have husbands that pay for everything, get that 2,000, put it in the drawer, and keep adding your $100 in case you know. In case you know. Okay. So this is a financial trauma is real. And divorces, oh my goodness, that is a whole financial trauma in itself when you know. So it's a real thing. Financial trauma is a real thing. Losing your emergency savings, like we're talking about, is devastating. Being broke is no joke. And being homeless is becoming more common than what they're telling you in the news. And let me tell you, you don't want to be homeless. And these scammers are out here trying to get your money. It's just so ungodly. I hope they all go to jail. Like, stop. Again, just like I shared what was going on and happening with healthcare, I was telling y'all that before the ball dropped. I'm just going to drop another gem on you. I am here. I'm your friend, your good girlfriend. I'm here to help you mentally and spiritually, because not only do, I talk about trauma, I want y'all to understand the things that causes us trauma, like financial trauma, like your house being blown away in a cyclone, like um Charlie being shot live on television, like the schools being shot and kids, I get emotional. Small children getting shot and dying. Um we have to come together to a place where we can talk this out. And so this is why, again, I sit here and I do this, because I want to address some of these things to help you at least have a perspective that you can push against to try to maintain your sound mind. Okay? It's getting tougher and tougher to have a sound mind in this world system. So I'm just sharing. I'm just sharing. And I don't have to lie. This is not a monetized channel, so I can talk my talk, and that's why I did it specifically. You're not going to tell me what I can say and what I can't say, and they're going to stop. Okay, I was getting ready to rant. I'm not. So the people who watch Safe Space Talks My Mastery already know how it goes, and if you're new to the channel, again, I always say welcome if you came in late. So Safe Space Talks My Mastery is here to help those who have suffered a traumatic experience and to help prevent trauma by exposing things which can cause, such as I just mentioned. When they stopped DEI, who do you think it affected the most? Put that in chat. So financial discrepancy is real. So, okay, my dog is just walking around. My dog is walking around. All right. So financial discrepancy is real. I just, we just talked about banks and loans, and debt and credit cards and stuff that just try to make us seem like we got money to do different things, but we're paying a higher price in interest. Then it's not how much you make, but how you invest and spend. That's the key to your wealth increase. So, how do we change the results? Understanding your power to change how you spend your own money. It's your money. In the Bible, there's a story of Ananias and Sapphira, and Peter was like, "Why did you lie? It was your money to do what you wanted to do with it. But since you lied, your feet gonna be right there next to your husband who died." Right? God just was like this New Testament. God was like, "Badow, okay, you stop lying to the Holy Spirit." So understanding your power to change. It's your money. God gave it to you. And then now you have to become an excellent steward over what he gave you. Remember when I talked about what's in your hand? The key for wealth increase is understanding the ordinary things in your life that God can use for extraordinary ways. That's for my believers. And like I said, my non-believers, there's hope, ideas, and consistency, which works. When you look at the top companies, what did they do? They had hope, ideas, and they was consistent. Now we have Christ on our side who multiplies. Let that sink in right there. All right. Another key to your wealth and having access is exposure. So I tell parents, I don't have no kids, but my parents, they're good by me. So exposure can be camp, and now they have adult camps. Internships. You can, just because you have a job, you can do an internship somewhere to network, to meet people, right? Remember, you're not going to be rich if you don't like people. How you going to get money? The people, you got to have consumers. You got to have some people around you, right? So that's not going to work. So if you broke, examine that part of your life. Like, stop. Isolation is a bad thing. Don't do it. So you can internship. You can have small, odd jobs, and relationships are key. So, if you don't get along with others, that wasn't for you. All right? It takes partnerships, working together. And if you're married, y'all gonna have to come together. Okay? Work on together. Where are your strengths and weaknesses? And have an amazing personality. Right? That'll help you get well. I promise you. Otherwise, you're getting into an ungodly situation with that get quick scamming, scheming, robbing. It's ungodly. It won't last long. The bags you have holes, and you're going to go to jail. It's just a matter of time before it catches up to you. So I'm not going to call names, but we know. We watch the news and people get caught and go to jail. So exposure is key. You never know who you might meet at camp, doing internships, having small jobs. You don't know. That's why the word says, um, treat people kind. You never know when you're entertaining a stranger. I know I jacked that up, but you know, Google it. Now, let me tell you why I know what I'm talking about. My first millionaire friend, I didn't even know that they were like a millionaire until, certain situations uh, came to light. And I was like, how you became a millionaire? And I was like, wow. I took the blueprint and I ran. The people I know who are rich, wealthy, and ridiculously wealthy, like I know a prince. Like I know a real prince. Like we're friends. Like, how did that happen? Being social, hanging out, um, going to places. You just never know who God has in your path to meet. You just don't know. Like, you just don't know. So, and let me tell you again, like I said, they're so regular. Like, you wouldn't even know. No flashy cars or homes. I mean, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. I ain't trying to say they live in, it's nice. Some coins is somewhere, but it's not flashy. Like they don't wear gaudy gold and it's just not like on TV. Okay, and they're nice, right? Rich people are nice. People who have money are nice because we're not dealing with the stress. So anyway, again, it's how you spend your money, it's how you invest your money, it's what you're doing. Don't get me wrong, have nice things, just don't let nice things have you. The next key: money does not eliminate problems. Research how many celebrities ran into tax problems when they got their big break. Go on, Google it. You can have money on paper, but you may not have it liquid. You may not have liquid funds. That means access. Like now you go to the ATM and pull out money. So there's a difference in wealth and riches when it's on paper and when it's accessible. I don't think I'm going to go into that, but just know that exists. All right. And so, money doesn't eliminate problems. It makes things a little easier. You can buy what you want when you want it, right? But remember maintenance. Okay. Remember taxes, right? I got a plane. I got a boat. Remember taxes. They're not giving y'all that. And you ain't got to keep paying the maintenance of taxes on that. You got to buy fuel for your private jet. That's not cheap. That's not us going to the gas station, right? Okay. I'm just trying to open your mind because they you just think it's that, and then you try to copy that, and then you realize, uh-oh, maintenance. All right. So, newsflash. Here's some troubles that are problems that some rich people have. You think rich people don't have problems? They got problems too, you know. Uh, and the scary part is that it can empty their whole bank account. Now, when we over here with our little problems, and we like, we just know how to get that money back. Okay. So anyway, there is a debt to income ratio known as DTI, another factor that lenders, right, the banks, evaluate before approving a loan. This ratio measures your gross monthly income and to your debt, your monthly debt payments. As a general rule, lenders prefer your DTI to be 43% or lower, though some lenders will accept a DTI of up to 50% if your overall financials are strong, meaning you got liquid to back up the paper, okay? So this is why you can see someone who is a millionaire or a billionaire, and they're trying to buy something, and the banks deny them. And the reason why the banks deny them, they don't have enough liquid assets. They have nice assets on paper, but and again, for some people, it don't matter. And so for some people, you need the 43. And for some others, the 50 will do. Now, I didn't mention this last week, which was World Suicide Prevention Day. So let me just add this in while we're talking about wealthy people. Because of this truth, being rich on paper without having the liquid assets sometimes get themselves in a pickle, right? Those are the people who are gambling, they're on drugs, or may have gotten scammed out of their money, and they find out they lost most of their money or all of it. Some have been known to commit suicide. This is why, see, I'm so glad we talk about money and financial wealth and financial trauma. This is financial trauma, that you would unalive yourself. That's deep. So this is why insurance companies have a clause that if someone does unalive themselves, the insurance company is not going to pay. And just so you know, suicide rates have increased during the last 20 years and remain high to this date. So what does this all mean? Like, what am I trying to tell y'all that I'm not telling y'all, right? Is that this pressure is real. Now, I did a show about it. Please watch some of the shows you may have missed. Each show will be filled with valuable information. So make sure you're checking in. And definitely listen to me. During these times, I don't care. You're going to have to check in with people you love a little more. Be mindful. Be mindful. Okay? Because financial trauma can be devastating. And let me say, when your financial situation is being challenged, to avoid trauma and drama, begin to ask for help. Not when you're on empty. Be honest with yourself and share with a friend who you have a confidant. Remember, I keep telling y'all are going to need some friends. Y'all keep trying to do this by yourself. You can't. That I don't talk to this one and I stop. Okay? So you got to say to your friend, hey, listen, I need to pick up a few extra dollars. Do you know anyone who's hiring? Excuse me. Do you need an assistant? Go old school and walk into an establishment and ask if they need any help. If you're looking for a job, this is where your relationships come into play. But if you don't like nobody and you're not a nice person, people are not going to help you. I'm telling you this. This is true. This is why it pays to be nice. Apologize and serve others. Apologize and serve. I know that sounds like, what? Apologize and serve? That sounds like I'm talking another language, right? Y'all think I'm cussing y'all out, and I'm not. Um, so let's talk about wealth, right? I told you earlier, growing wealth takes anywhere to 5 to 7 years. And that's just to become a millionaire if you're focused. And 20 years, like I said, if you have debt and you have problems and from a divorce, your parents usually jacked up your credit and you got to do a whole lot more, it could take up to 20 years. But hey, listen, if high school is 4 years, right? And college is 4 years, that's 8 years. In that stage alone, you 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 can make it. You can make it if you try. And both stages, you're still living at home. Come on, that's a gem. That's a gem, guys. And after graduating, don't rush into relationships or getting your own apartment. Get your feet on the ground for yourself so you can depend on yourself and not others. Or rushing to have a roommate, because roommates then they flake on you, and now they ain't paying they half. Now you got to work on getting them out. Listen. Relax. You will have time for all of that. Think about it. There are many who have become millionaires by the age of 25 years old. How did they do that? I'm going to tell you. Trust funds, investments, and they were focused. And they wore t-shirts and jeans, nothing flashy, skip sneakers or an old pair of Nikes, no jewelry. And they was focused and spending their money wisely. They drove a hoopty and they kept it moving. And those who laughed at them then are not laughing now. Yep. So they did that until they reached their goal. And that's the play. No expensive birthdays, spending rent money for a 2-year-old who won't even remember what you did for their second birthday, but they will remember you and love you if you put that money in a financial asset and kept adding each birthday until they were 18. They will remember that. They be like, my mom, my parents, my dad. Okay? Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so you don't have to listen to me. I'm just saying that's something you can do. Okay. Let me say this. In 2025, if you understand how to spend money, wealth can be your norm. But many companies have convinced many of you that you need more things. Even in some churches, pastors are telling you, "Ooh, you need more things. God wants you to prosper." Yeah, he do. He do. He wants you to have nice things. But they're not reading it all as your soul prospers, right? Um, and then you running out of church to obtain that car and that house at that higher interest rates because your credit ain't good, or you can't even get the loan, and so you just mad and struggling, right? Or you need the 15% to 30% to put down. But everything for some is at that higher cost and can land you in big debt. So you want to be mindful. And in 2025, you have to have a savings system and financial assets. You need to have a savings system and financial assets. Those two go together. And that can cover any loan you want, your heart's desire. But remember this key word, maintenance. Another gem. This channel is for mature audience. I know, I know. We don't have to be loud. We just have to be right. Righteousness and truth wins every time. And I'm going to sit here and tell you the truth. And you think I'm not telling you the truth, but I want to show you something. Here we go. I want to show you. Let me show you this clip to give you another visualization of how advertisers use branding to get you.
They thoughtfully portioned for guilt-free snacking, and then each one only has 125 calories. I also added 2 times the protein on here because companies love to do that all the time. You just have to compare to a comparable product. In this case, it has 2 times the protein of Twix. And let's try something different. Let's make Snickers appeal to parents shopping for their kids. Just make the label colorful and fun, and add things that are important to parents, like made with 100% real milk and contains essential nutrients and protein for play. And lastly, how about we turn Snickers into an energy bar? Snickers Jolt. It's just a Snickers, but the sugar gives you energy, and it technically does contain B vitamins and electrolytes because sodium is indeed an electrolyte. Just by rebranding the label, we can make Snickers appeal to 5 completely different audiences. It's that easy.
Family, it is time to pull your resources together. If you need to move back into your parents' house, wasn't that something, right? Wasn't that something? You saw all the how he did that? All right. Just pay attention. Stop listening to the lies. Get some truth. Stay here with us at Safe Space Talks My Mastery. We're going to tell you the truth. If you have to move back into your parents' house, get on the phone and begin that conversation. If you have an untapped talent that you have, but you don't use it, time to use it. Make some money off of it. There is always work and opportunity out here. That's why they be flooding and coming over the walls and everything to get to America. Now the difference is they're willing to do it. Are you? Are you? You might have to humble yourself to get where you want to go. I used to temp. I took odd jobs. I've been fired, honey, but I knew the direction I wanted to go. And I knew I never wanted someone to fire me ever again in my whole entire life. I just didn't like working. It just wasn't I wasn't built for that. Anyway, you know how hard it is to get help. So you have to be proactive. You think people care about those in need? Some of us, like myself, listen, the banking system is fixed. Like I said, it's not new. It's not new. I'm telling you. I'm just reminding you that even in 2025, the banking system is fixed. I know. That's why we monetize, because I got to tell y'all. If you don't believe me, Google or ask some of the Black wealthy people how banks really treat them. Gone. Some have accused them of fraud and fake transactions. Look it up. If more people share their story and be truthful about their struggles with their wealth being wealth and black, maybe more will put their money back in Black banks. So yes, financial trauma is real across the board, and with money and with limited funds, it's a struggle. And no matter what you invest in, remember this, the return on investment, the ROI, can take time. See, people think, I'm investing, I'm going to have my money next week. No, okay, it's a process. You might, but you may get an immediate commission, like if you're in real estate. But to have wealth, you got to sell more homes, right? You got to keep doing stuff, okay? You don't keep adding, there's going to be some subtracting. All right. So, and I'm not even going to talk about taxes. I'm not. But that's another thing. Okay. To get profitable, you need 1 to 5 years. Also, a report just came in saying banks are requiring, here you go, a 680 credit score up from 620. And you know the APR is going to be like 30%. The people who receive the no money down and lower interest rates have to have a credit score of 740 and higher. So you must begin organizing your funds, your spending, addressing your credit score if you want to at least be in the mix. Without anything I said to you today, you're not going to be in the mix. Okay? If you don't have a bank account, you're not going to be in the mix. Certain organizations are stopping paper checks. FYI. Okay? Get a bank account. Or they saying they'll give you a prepaid card or something. But don't get the prepaid card. Get a bank account. Just get a bank account. All right. All right. To my young people watching, you have some decisions to make. If you forfeit the Jordans and the expensive clothing and the PlayStations and, during your college years and your high school years and your college years, by your 30s, you might just surpass all those who laughed at you for not being fashionable. Listen, I'm not saying don't get yourself nice things. I'm just saying make sure you purchase during the holidays and Black Friday. That's all I'm saying. Well, that's it for now. I hope this information helped you to examine how you spend your money, understand your money power, and save and invest. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. I love me some y'all.